Well, he's here. Pope Francis is now in America. He landed at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland a short while ago and was greeted by the first family along with Vice President and Mrs. Biden. He has just arrived at the Vatican Embassy in Washington. The Pontiff will spend 6 days in the U.S. visiting 3 cities. On Thursday, he'll deliver the first ever papal address to a joint meeting of Congress. And on Friday, he'll address the UN General Assembly here in New York City. He would wade once again into highly charged political debates on climate change, inequality, and immigration. Cardinal Timothy Dolan says it's the Pope's role to spread the word of God.
He's coming as a pastor, as an apostle, as an evangelist, but in preaching that gospel message and in handing on to us the teaching of God as revealed in Jesus Christ and in the Bible, there's always implications in the moral life, and some of those implications are in the economic and political realm. He really isn't there to please anybody. His job is to please God. There's a beautiful phrase that was used by G.K. Chesterton back in the 1930s. He said, look, the role of a religious leader is to comfort the afflicted and to afflict the comfortable. He's going to do a little bit of both.
For more on this historic visit, let's bring in Father Jonathan Morris, a Fox News contributor. He joins us from Washington, and I'll kick it off here, Father Jonathan. Yeah. I really loved the ceremony when the Pope arrived. I loved watching the first family. It was really good, I thought, to see the children there, the first daughters, I guess we could call them. And the Pope looked like he was ready for a great papal visit.
I would think so, you know, and he's not a confrontational guy when it comes to personal relationships like that. I think he was just there to greet everybody, to love everybody, but as Cardinal Dolan mentioned in that clip, he will make the comfortable a little bit uncomfortable, afflicted, and that will come later.
All right, Eric.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yes.
The Pope is here. Yay! The Pope is here, Father. Is this
Show Greg's face. I want to see Greg's face. It's probably not very happy.
Well, no, I think he'll be happy. We're all happy. The Pope is here.
Father.
Is this visit pastoral or political or both?
Well, he comes as a pastor, right? He comes as a shepherd, but it does when you try to shepherd your flock. And they live in a very politicized world, and they have to make moral decisions, and they have to make social decisions. Well, then there are consequences. And so when he says, for example, take care of the poor, well, how do you do that? And that's the responsibility of politicians, not the Pope, to tell them exactly, to decide how that should be done in civilized society. And so I think, yes, there will be political consequences.
Juan Williams.
You know, Father Jonathan, I am just struck, I tell you, to the point of being moved by the idea that he's going to take time out while he's here, you know, and everybody in Washington wants to see the Pope, right? So everybody, all the big shots want to get next to him. He's taking time out to be with people who are helped by Catholic charities, who are homeless and hungry. I mean, people, he's actually sitting down at lunch with people that are hungry. Then he's going to this World Families meeting in Philadelphia. Here in New York, he's going to go up to a public school, to a Catholic school where children attend. I just think this is, well, I don't have a critical question, Father Jonathan. I just think it's wonderful.
You know, it is wonderful, but I think you bring up a great point, Juan, and that is the Pope has been telling us, get your hands dirty. Not just in theory help the poor. Make sure that there's good trickle-down economics to help the poor, but get your hands dirty. That's not to say that trickle-down economics can also help in that, but get your hands dirty, and that's what he's doing.
Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Yeah. Hi, Father Jonathan. Nice
to
see you. So everyone's obviously very excited about the Pope coming, and you know he has a different background than we've seen traditionally in the past. And what do you think we can expect from him in terms of the message and the emphasis that he's going to give?
You know, I think he's going to talk about helping those who are most in need. You know, I think he doesn't feel like his responsibility is to solve all the world's problems, but rather to shepherd the flock in terms of doctrine, teaching, and at the same time give priority to helping those who can't help themselves, the ones currently who can't help themselves. Not 100 years from now or 200 years from now, but the people on the street now, helping them physically, practically. And I think that's he's going to be doing that in reference to the refugee crisis in Syria. He's going to talk about the persecuted Christians in Iraq and in Syria and the Middle East, as he's been doing for so long. He's going to be talking about a lot of these issues that are making news today.
Greg Gutfeld, you've been waiting for this all day, Father Jonathan.
I can't wait, Greg, because all these crazy Greg Gutfeld followers, they tell me that the Pope is the devil.
Oh, that's
Oh my God.
devilishly handsome, Father, just like you are. Maybe I have two questions for you. I find it interesting that I'm witnessing a media that applauds the commingling of religion and politics after mocking a Kentucky clerk for doing the very same thing. And I find it interesting that the media looks up at the Pope and says how wonderful he is, even though he shares the same beliefs as a woman that they mocked and demeaned over gay marriage. The other question I have, and that wasn't a question.
Let me answer that one.
Yeah, sure, go ahead. Sorry.
Let me turn that into a question and answer it. So, Greg, no, you're exactly right. And I think much of the media is not going to be talking about the fact that he is against abortion, that he is against gay marriage. And he is. In fact, on the plane just now coming from Cuba, he said something somebody asked him about, some people are asking if you're even Catholic, if you're a Christian. He seemed bemused, and he was very decisive, according to this article. And he said this, he said, some people might say some things sounded slightly more leftish of what he's saying. But that would be a mistake of interpretation. That's pretty clear. And then he says, if you want me to pray the creed, which is like the profession of faith,
right.
Which is not a very liberal thing, I'm willing to do it in front of you. So I think he was setting the stage. He says, I'm not coming here as a leftist. I'm not coming here as a liberal. He's also saying, I'm not coming here as a Republican, no doubt. But he's coming here to be a voice. A moral voice, hopefully, that will bring us into the presence of God.
One final question, and then I'll shut up, Father. The poverty level of the United States is the same as the upper middle class level in Mexico. He's the first Latin American pope. Shouldn't he know that fact before he lectures America on inequality?
Well, do we know that he doesn't know that fact?
Seems like he doesn't to me, because he's too busy talking about the inequalities of America and the problems with capitalism.
Well, I don't think he's always talking about the inequalities in America. I think he's talking about the inequalities around the world. And he knows especially those inequalities in crony capitalism in Argentina, where he's from. I think he's talking about the inequalities in Syria right now, in which a dictator has plenty of wealth, and most of its population is suffering tremendously. It's the same guy, Greg, and you're going to love this, as I love this. It's the same guy, Pope Francis, who told international leaders, get some strength. I almost said something I shouldn't have said. Be tough, and use force if necessary to stop an unjust aggressor going after the Christians in the Middle East.
But
it doesn't sound like a liberal to me.
He does blame the Syrian refugee crisis on greed, when in fact it's the process.
That's a headline. And don't you think the leadership of Syria has been pretty greedy in the way they've treated their people?
Well, I also see a conflict born out of religion over there, Father.
I agree, and that's why Pope Francis, I don't know why I yell at you, Greg. I'm
because you love me, Father. We get along wonderfully.
I really wish, Father Jonathan, that you had said what you were going to say, because if we had to bleep you on the 5, I mean, that would have been
that would have helped you.
I wanted to ask
Don't judge me, Kimberly. You don't know what I was going to say.
Can I follow up on one more question, which is, do you think, it seems to me, when you read that statement that he just gave on the plane,
yeah.
How aware is he of the criticism? Does it affect his approach at all? And do you think that he will recognize America's role in the world as a peacekeeper and generous nation, and that one of the reasons we are able to be generous is because of the economic system that we have compared to other countries?
It's an excellent question, and I don't think he realizes as much as we all realize it. He says he hasn't watched TV in, I think he said 30 years. He reads one newspaper, I think for about 10 minutes a day, and it's an Italian newspaper. And a lot of what the procedures of other popes were to have everything go through the Secretary of State. which is not just for international relations, but also they really were very much involved in what the Pope said and did politically, based on his political consequences, etc. He has streamlined that, and he's doing a lot of things on his own. He also goes off the cuff. He spoke to the youth in Cuba without any notes for a long period of time, and he allowed them to ask him questions very directly. So I would say, you know what, I don't think he's as aware as a lot of us. I think he will pick up in his time here the greatness of the United States of America, the exceptional nature of our country based on our Constitution, based on our history, based on our founding documents.
All right, last question.
Just very quickly. Go ahead.
Yes. Go ahead. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
No, I just wanted to point out, Pope Francis, 78 years old. He's in good health. He had his right lung removed when he was young. He's very engaged. As you point out, he was engaged to the reporters on the airplane. He speaks to people when he can. Look at instead of a big, long stretch limo, look what he is. He's in a Fiat 500, and that's his choice. He wants to do that. And I get it. I understand there are issues. Every time he speaks, a lot of people are listening. But I would just hope it would be a little bit more about right and wrong rather than right and left, just for a while.
You know what, Father? Don't worry about old Eric. He wants this to be political, and I think most people just say,
for it not to be.
Thank God the Pope.
No.
Bless
you got me wrong.
Wonderful that the Pope is here, but he's worried that the liberals are going to celebrate.
No, dude. You got it wrong. I was saying the other way. I was saying
he's just so used to you saying that, Eric.
Pastoral. I'm on board with the Pope.
Are you sure you're not going for a free market Pope?
Yeah, there we go.
If the Pope visits any one of you guys while he's here, it's going to be Greg, as he goes out to the fringes, he goes out to the periphery, he goes out to the lost sheep.
Father, why is the
that's the
Pope
good
staying
news.
at an Airbnb?
The lepers, too.
Shouldn't he be staying at an Airbnb?
He is. It really is. It's the Catholic's Airbnb.
In the Vatican, he does stay at an Airbnb, pretty much, a guest house.
Yeah.
When he's in Washington, I think
he could stay with me.
Yeah,
I have an extra bedroom.
All right.
Dobbs is going to have to move out for a few days.
All right, forgive us, Father.
I mean,
that was fine.
But we have multiple
got into big
sins.
trouble.
We'll see you at St. Patrick's. For
Okay, exciting week.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody's talking at once. We got to go.